Hey, what's going on, guys? Arekkz here, and today I want to talk about Spider-Man Miles Morales. For those of you guys that are, of course, Spider-Man fans, then hopefully you are looking forward to this. A chance to jump back into the Spider-Man universe is just going to be incredibly cool, and Miles Morales is a fantastic character. But for those of you guys that are, of course, excited, don't forget to drop a like on this video. It'd be super appreciated. Massively helps me out. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know what you're hoping to see in the game, apart from puddles, of course, because they've definitely added those back if you check out the new screenshots. And, of course, if you're excited for this and you want to see more, then make sure you stick around, subscribe, turn on notifications, because we got plenty more coming your way. But today I want to talk about some of the stuff we know so far about this game, some of the rumors, some of the information surrounding it, to try and paint a better picture as to what we have so far for this for the upcoming title, because of course it's one of the ones that we have to look forward to on PS5. So yeah, let's talk details. The first thing I want to talk about is information about the story. There was an Entertainment Weekly interview with Brian Intihar, who is Insomniac's creative director, and in the interview we learned that, and I quote, in Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, set in winter 1 year after the events of the previous game, Miles' Harlem home is on the verge of being torn apart by a war between an energy corporation and a criminal organization armed to the teeth with advanced tech. So 1 year after the previous game, set in Miles' home city Harlem, which is in a bad state, perfect for Spider-Man to of course save the day, and it's also expected, because of course there is a year time gap and it's set in Harlem, that is of course the spin-off to the original title, that we might expect to see a sequel coming later on for the original Marvel Spider-Man. So this could just be like a, an interim kind of a gap video. There was like a interview like a while ago, I can't remember who it was specifically, but they kind of mentioned that, Spider-Man 2 was also in development. So whether this is just kind of a bridge the gap kind of thing is going to be quite interesting to see. But either way, this story is definitely something that I cannot wait to play out. Following on from there's a little bit of information about potential game length. We of course know that the spin-off is likely to be shorter in length than, the original game, similar to, say, the Lost Legacy game in the Uncharted series, but Brian Intihar again promises that it has a lot of heart. In addition, Brian Horton, the game's creative director, said, and I quote, "This is a full arc for Miles that started in Spider-Man. We really are completing this hero's coming of age in our game. It is a complete story." So, slightly mixed messages about the length of the size of the game in this kind of spin-off title, but we can certainly expect that there is going to be a full story featuring Miles as a playable Spider-Man. So, while it might not necessarily, if you're looking for like a one-for-one comparison, might not necessarily be quite as long as the original Spider-Man game, we are definitely looking at a fully fleshed out, fully fledged experience, because it is of course going to be a standalone title, so you're definitely still going to get your worth out of this game. We also know there was some discussion as Miles doesn't exist in the same reality as Peter Parker and how they would all make it work, and they said that when we started crafting it, Horton recalls, they realised that with a little bit more of a kind of compact storytelling style, they could tell a very emotionally impactful story that would fit really well as an experience that would take Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales and do justice to this character. So again, we'll have to work out or kind of find out exactly how that transpires, but safe to say they have that in mind. Moving on from there to talk a little bit about potential abilities for Miles Morales. We know that Horton and Intihar see Miles as his own Spider-Man rather than just like an apprentice to Peter, so there is of course emphasis on him being unique, and we already know from the movie Spider-Verse that Miles has some powers of his own. We can expect to see both his invisibility and his Bioshock, the electric powers, introduced in this game, but they are also teased as being part of his hero's journey. Horton mentions that Miles is, quote-unquote, more so born out of family. What I think is really compelling about Miles as a character is that he has friends that he could actually let into his world, both his human world and his spider world. He's a little different in that way and the way that he approaches it. So it sounds like it might be possible for Miles to call upon his friends, other Spider-Man, maybe kind of Gwen, etc. into the world, which would also add for a pretty awesome dynamic. Like when you go to think about the potential for calling someone in, I suddenly immediately get like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood vibes. Like imagine if you could just call Gwen in to kind of back you up. That would be pretty awesome. Additionally, on top of this, in at number 4, Spider-Man Miles Morales PS5 has an optional 4K/60fps performance mode. Of course, one of the big questions, this being a next generation title, everyone's looking towards, 4K 60 or of course, increased resolution, better visuals, and also better frame rates. And the latest Spider-Man title will have an optional 4K or a 60fps mode on PS5. That does, of course, suggest that it's not going to be 4K 60. You're going to have to pick and choose. But this is, of course, exciting news because Sony's PS5 Games Showcase suggested that 30fps was a performance target for the majority of PS5 games. Of course, if you're trying to push 4K more so, then 4K 30 looks like it could become a standard for a little while. However, knowing that you do have a 60fps mode, the amount of web slinging, like darting through the city you do in this game, this is definitely one of those games that benefits from those high frame rates. So that is going to be incredibly fun to see. And then finally, last point I want to talk about is that of course Miles Morales may be launched bundled alongside a remastered copy of Marvel's Spider-Man. According to the latest issue, 327 of Game Informer magazine, from Reddit user 77good123, he posted a picture, or this kind of like scan from the magazine, and it says in the bottom part, it says Miles Morales isn't a traditional sequel, since it comes bundled with a remastered version of Insomniac's Spider-Man that takes full advantage of the PS5 hardware. Now, while that hasn't been officially announced, that is kind of hardly surprising when you look towards the next generation. You look towards, especially in the first couple of years, next generations, they love to kind of do those cross-generational ports, giving people a chance to, play games they may have missed, play them at better frame rates, better resolutions, and of course, just kind of fill that initial launch window that is typically quite empty while they're kind of waiting for some of the big AAA games to be developed. So, with that being said, having the remastered version of the original one, allowing you to play through that game if you've missed it, and then jump into the new one and experience Miles' story as well, that would be a fantastic experience back to back, and for Spider-Man fans would just be, a great win. So that is something else to consider. But for the time being, that's a little rundown on a few of the things that we may potentially know right now about Miles Morales, the new Spider-Man game. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Let me know what you are most excited about. And of course, be sure to keep it locked, because as and when we get more information, I'll be sure to keep you guys bang up to date. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, you can join the Arekkz Gaming Discord. We've got an awesome community over there with so many different channels for you to chat loads of different topics and different games. I'm in there, the team's in there if you guys want to chat with us, find people to play with. It's just in general a great place to be. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our future uploads.